so he would demonstrate.
Okay, tell me again.
What is that?
Please, just audio. Just audio.
Oh,
What is that?
It goes onto the web. It's a digital.
Have you been listening to NPR?
Uh-huh.
Today is the day of listening.
That's right. Today's the National Day of Listening.
And I did not have enough guts to do this with my family. But I thought I might be able to get a story.
You've got one.
And I've got one that just naturally happened about cotillion. And I do not have a digital audio.
I better not take Paul's name in vain, though. I mean, you don't know what he's doing yet.
No, you don't.
No, but I will. It's recording that way, so it's not recording video-wise anybody. I just want the audio.
So you want the sound.
I want the sound of this cotillion story.
So,
Tell it naturally.
well, you can ask questions. Deborah can ask questions.
Okay.
All right. The journalist over there.
Oh, that's right. Go to Leslie.
Go
Well,
Cotillion
actually,
in the early 70s,
no,
right?
actually, yes. So, my mother wanted me to know and have all the social graces. And she was certainly concerned that I might not. I was definitely a tomboy, of the biggest kind. My house bordered on Meredith College, and Meredith College was a woman's college. But the cool thing about the fact that my house property was right adjacent to the Meredith College property is that I would go over the hills and through the woods, right over to the Meredith campus, and right up the hill to the horse barn, where all the horses were. So I would hang out with the horses, and the people mostly all the women that took care of the horses. And so, I would spend my days in the woods or at the barn or doing something or another that would require pants and not a dress. So, she had great plans for me in my coming of age. So, she found the best cotillion class in Raleigh, and it was taught by Mrs. Gaddy. And Mrs. Gaddy was the wife of a local anchorman on the Raleigh TV station. So I'm not sure, what channel. I think probably, who knows, Channel 5, I'm probably, terribly bastardizing what channel he was on. No, not Channel 5. That was probably the channel Jesse Helms came off of. But, so, Charles Gaddy was her husband, and he was a famous anchor in Raleigh, and Mrs. Gaddy taught the rest of the boys and girls of Raleigh, North Carolina, how to behave in social situations. So, my mother had me sign up and attend cotillion classes, and what that also involved that was extraordinarily painful in terms of having patience at that age was that every single outfit I wore to cotillion was hand sewn. And I'm talking high couturier. So she found me a tailor who was the finest men's clothing tailor in Raleigh. And she had Miss Mamie, was her name. Miss Mamie made all my dresses that I wore the evenings I went to cotillion. So, I would have to, my mother would pick out fabric, and then I would have to stand and have my hem pinned. Turn please, turn please, turn please. And then I'd have to try it on, and is it okay, and do we have to make the hem lower or higher or whatever. So, I had these just absolutely beautiful clothes, and, went and took classes and learned the box step and the waltz and the foxtrot and the cha-cha and all the ballroom dances. And the culmination of cotillion the first year was to have a dance, go to a dance, but not, this was like 5 steps up from a sock hop. So not just like, dancing to, 45s in the gym, but this was, lovely ballroom, and I don't know if I can't even remember like if there was a small orchestra playing or what, but so you went in this, very, very nice, it was a very, very nice event. You had your gloves and you had your gown and you had your dance card, and the idea is that, before the dance, you would have, young men fill up your dance card. So that would mean, you knew you were really popular if your dance, that's the whole, where that comes from, is your dance card full. So, you'd have like 12 dances for the night or whatever. And one would
And they
be,
signed up?
Yeah, one would be Dan, and one would be Lee, and one would be Steve, and one would be Paul. So the idea was, you had your dance card full. So, you had to keep track of what dance it was. Dance number 5, you had to, Dan had to come and find you and take your hand and lead you to the floor, and you danced, and I had to learn how to walk, and then, they had things like, most kids already knew, in a sense, their manners as far as how to set the table and those kinds of things, but there were, you did learn about shaking hands, about, I thought it was very interesting about how men always had to shake hands, but women always had a choice. So that is something that I remember about shaking hands, that women never have to shake hands. That was how it was, at least the social graces then, is that men always had to put their hands out, and women always had a choice as to whether or not they wanted to shake in a social situation when they met. And so you should not even offer your hand to a woman unless she offers you hers. So I thought that was very interesting in terms of...
So it's one of the few times where the woman would initiate the engagement.
Mm-hmm. And if a man did, he'd take the risk of it not being reciprocated. So, you learn funny little rules in terms of social graces. So my mother was very, interested, and I did, incredibly well. I thought it was hilarious, and I was a great little dancer. And what's pretty interesting is, at least in telling you this story right now, is that when I started looking for a partner recently, I wrote this girl from New Hampshire and told her about cotillion classes, and told her about the fact that I had been in cotillion, and my mother wanted me to have a coming out party, and that means being introduced to larger Southern society. But I came out in a whole different way. And my mother still hasn't gotten over it. So she was very satisfied with that version of the story. That even though the tomboy put on the beautiful dresses, handmade dresses and gowns, that somehow she still ended up with the girls. But it's really interesting. Something that I think Leslie didn't know, and I'm sure I know you don't know, Deborah, but actually, a boy in my cotillion class, I could tell you his name. You can always bleep it if you actually send this to NPR. His name was Lee Bunn, and he was the first boy I ever kissed. And it was in my cotillion class. Well, I don't know if I kissed him or he kissed me. But we tried that out too. But obviously that lesson didn't stick.
I was going to say, was that part of the lesson?
Yeah, obviously that lesson didn't stick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How old were you when you were going through cotillion?
I think you were 14.
Okay.
14. 13, 14. But I think 14. Right about 7th or 8th. I think 8th grade.
Okay.
8th grade.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yep. Cha-cha-cha.
Wow. That's a great
And
story.
of course, in the cotillion class, you did not learn how to shag, and that is not the English version of shag. That's a particular dance there's the East Coast shag or the Myrtle Beach shag, and you did not learn how to shag. So of course, what did all the kids want to learn how to do? Is they wanted to learn how to shag. But that was too informal a dance to be taught at cotillion. So you had to learn that on your own.
And how did you learn the shag?
Just by going to other dances.
Or is it sort of known in the community who's either having to go through cotillion or gets to go through cotillion and those that do not? Is there a little separation there, or admiration, or
no,
heckling?
I don't really remember, other than you certainly knew from when you went to class who was there, and you then saw them in class, school later. But no, I think it was thought of too geeky, and that people that didn't go to cotillion were extraordinarily relieved that they did not have to do that. So you did not announce it, so there was not any chance unless, you got caught talking to your peers about it for something or other. But
so it's an after-school activity or a weekend activity.
It was an evening, weeknight evening activity. I can't remember if I went one night a week or 2 nights a week for this a long series of classes. So it was quite involved.
And did you have to attend others coming out? Dance?
Well, the ages would mix as you went up in age, but like I said, I decided to come out in a whole nother way, so I did not progress through.
So now, how did you
cotillion
bow out?
Hierarchy. I had enough of that, Mother. I was far more interested in playing tennis and basketball than I was continuing on with cotillion nonsense.
Did you get a certificate at certain points along this path?
No, but the idea was, and I don't have them. I wish I actually did have them. It would be quite the collector's item. What I would say your graduation would be your dance cards. And many girls kept their dance cards with who had signed up to dance with them. So that was the true memento.
Now, sometimes in things like this, I would imagine that there would be more women in the class than men.
No. I mean, Mrs. Gaddy made sure everybody had a partner.
Oh, I was going to say there might be opportunities.
No, everybody had a opposite sex partner. So it was balanced. I would imagine that Mrs. Gaddy actually had to do a lot of recruiting of the mothers of young men to get enough men in the class. But there were plenty of young men, boys in the class. So.
We live to tell about it.
Yeah, I'm sure they have their stories as well.